Massive congratulations. Where you are right now, you essentially have all the basic data handling skills that we want to teach you for the AI applicant level. What we're gonna do now is one last piece, all the data that you've nicely prepared, we wanna put it together into one big object that's gonna become our matrix X that the model will use to actually learn insights about the different passengers. So in other words, we want to put all these things that we created before together. We want to glue them together. So that I'm saying, okay, it starts out with these things that we knew before, and here we have all the variables that were easy to do, right? So passenger class, we knew we hadn't to change. Age, we didn't change. Siblings, we didn't change. So we had all of them, we put them into one single object here, and temporarily we call it df1, df for data frame. You can call it whatever you want, right? And because I had overwritten the sex variable, the gender, when we did improve it, I can directly take that from the training set as well. What's important is that you use two edgy brackets here. One of them is to index on the training data frame. So that's going to tell it which columns to take. And the other is actually to say, I'm going to give you a list of these text strings here. Otherwise, every one of these things would be considered another input. And then the first one would be the column you select, and then the next one would be something completely different, which is another input that this data frame might be expecting. So what I'm doing here is I select the data frame training from passenger class, sex, age, sibling, PRH, and fare, and that's my df1. And I can select here, I'm showing the first 6 columns, right? We have the cabin, and we just prepared that, so that is still fresh in memory. And we have the embarkation status, which we also prepared before. Now for the gluing together. So what we want to do is these values here, they should be here. Just stick it right next to that existing data frame. And that's very easy to do. We can simply use the pandas function concat. Concat is concatenation. So that's very similar if you know in Excel. You can use concatenation to put two different strings together, and that's the same with the data frame here as well. And I can choose whether I can put that data frame here or I can put it underneath as well. In this case, I want to do it horizontal, so I'm saying the axis is equal to 1. If you wanted to put it down here, you would just say axis equal to 0. And by the way, this function, the whole pandas library has excellent documentation on the website, so you can also Google and read that, and is really versatile as well. We can do the same thing with the embarkations as well, so that trick, it really works quite nicely. In our case, because the data is so tidy, we can do that very, very, very quick. Really, if you prepare your data nice and tidy, it saves you so much work and it will make your model a lot better, and we can see it here already. One issue that sometimes comes up is that while you have been working on the data before, your index might have been shifted. So maybe here, instead of having the same index as here, maybe we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth, instead of 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So if these values here are out of order, and for some reason it always happens, same reason why you always lose your socks and no one knows why, it just happens in reality. If you get some error that says index out of alignment or anything with the index, there's one thing you can quickly try. You just say reindex, right? So the first one I keep, df1, and that is going to be my standard index for all the other pieces I glued together. Then the new cabin variable I had saved before, I'm just going to say reindex it, and as the new index, I'm going to give you the index from data frame 1. So I'm going to put that 0, 1, 2, 3 just here as the index. And Whatever was there before, I throw it out. So in that case, if the length of both of them of these objects is the same, you're guaranteed to be able to merge them. I can do the same on the embarkations as well. In this case, you might not need the reindex. It should, if you have worked well, it should work without the reindex function. But certainly, sooner or later, you will run into some issues where the index was shifted throughout your work, and then this is a really, really good fix to know. Now, we're essentially ready. So this is how the data frame looks like when we put everything together, and we see all the information of one passenger is very nicely in one row. There's no more missing values. There's no more text. Everything is nice numbers that the model can interpret with all these indicators here of different things. Here the fare is a metric variable even. So that's perfect for the model. And remember, we also knew the survival data for our training set. So we can say a passenger with these typical numbers here in that row is not surviving. Survival state is 0. Passenger with these typical numbers here in column 2 and in row 2, is going to survive. And it's going to do that for all the different passengers we have and try and find the average truth of that data set.